Welcome to the session number 7 of module 5, that is arches and cables. Myself Vahini M of GEC Haveri. So in first 1 to 6 sessions we have analyzed 3-hinged circular as well as parabolic arches. So now in session number 7 we are going to take up cable structures. So the contents of cable structures or cables are, so we are going to have a look at the introductory part in the introduction, and then the forces in the suspension cable bridge. So the different parts of suspension bridge will be subjected to different types of forces. So that forces we are going to learn in second segment. And the support of suspension cable, how the suspension cable is connected to the towers, that we will be learning in the next part. And then length of the suspension cable, diameter of the suspension cable, sign convention what we follow in the analysis of cables, and the conditions of equilibrium to be applied, and then how the cables are to be analyzed. These are the contents that we are going to study in today's session. So in introduction, what do you mean by a cable? A cable is a deformable structure which is used to support either the suspension bridges or transmission lines or ropeways or any etc. Okay, so these are the deformable structures which are used to support bridges, transmission lines, ropeways, etc. So they are highly flexible and they do not resist shear force and bending moment. As they are highly flexible, they can take any shape, therefore they do not resist shear force and bending moment. So that means bending moment on any point on the cable will be 0. Cables are always subjected to axial forces, and that too it will be tensile in its nature, which acts tangentially to the shape of the cable. So they are generally fabricated from high strength steel wires. So the steel wires will be manufactured with high strength. So as they are being flexible, it can adapt to any shape under the loads. Okay, so that is about the cables. So to our syllabus, we are concentrating on suspension cables or suspension bridge. In that we are going to concentrating on suspension cable. So let us take a look at the different parts of suspension cable or suspension bridge. Okay, so this is a suspension bridge. You can see. So these are constructed when we have a valley to cross, and this is the approach road. Okay, and then these are the towers, this is the cable. Okay, and these are called as suspenders or hanger bars. Okay, so suspension cable and the anchor cable. So this is the suspension cable and this one is the anchor cable. They both form the main cable of the suspension bridge. So the main cable is nothing but the cable that runs along the top of the bridge and is anchored at the ends. It runs along the length of the bridge. It runs along the top of the bridge. Okay, and is anchored at the ends. This is the anchorage. Okay, it is anchored at the ends. So they are created from thousands of small steel cables wound into one large suspension cable. So if you take the actual figure here, so you can observe here there are number of small steel wires which are wound by the help of steel strands, which forms the suspension cable. Okay, created from thousands of small steel cables wound into a single suspension cable. Okay, that is about the main cable. Next is suspenders or hangers or stringers. They are also called as stringers. So as the name itself suggests, suspenders or hangers. So you can see here, so these are the small drop cables which are used to suspend this bridge deck. Okay, so the bridge or the deck slab of the bridge is suspended by means of these small vertical drop cables, which are called as suspenders or hanger bars. They are also called as stringers. So they are used at equal intervals along the length of the span. Okay, so you can observe here these vertical bars are spaced at equal intervals. So hence we can treat it as a UDL. So actually, if you take the real case, so these are called the suspenders. These vertical bars are called as suspenders, whereas this is the main cable, suspension cable. Okay, and these are suspenders, and this is the tower. So they are placed equally along the length of the cable. Next is stiffening girder or deck slab. It is the slab where the vehicular traffic will move. Okay, it is the main area of the bridge which carries the traffic loadings. Okay, so it is the slab which carries the traffic load. Okay, so this is the approach road where the vehicles will enter the bridge. Okay, and they will cross the bridge. Okay, so this deck slab is stiffened by means of a girder. So the girder is used to transfer the load from the deck slab to the hanger bars. Okay, stiffening girders are provided in the deck slab to transfer the load from the deck slab to the hanger bars. Okay, so the vehicular traffic load will be transferred from deck slab to the hanger bars. Okay, these are some of the main important elements. We'll continue the same one. Next we will take up, this is the tower. Okay, so which stabilizes the main cable, which gives us stability to the main cable, or which it is used to support the main cable. So main cable in the sense suspension cable is supported by means of the tower. Okay, the ends of the main cable are connected to the tower, which is at a sufficient height to provide cable sag. So you can observe here, so these are the ends of the suspension cable which are supported to the tower at sufficient height. Okay, so that the cable has a sufficient sag. It provides a cable sag. Next is foundation. So now as the tower has to be rested to the ground through the foundation, the tower rests on the ground through the foundation. Okay, the foundation is the part where the tower rests on. Okay, it is the part of the structure which is supported to hold the towers. So they can be either constructed, they may be on the firm ground, or they may on the ground itself, or they may be below the water. Okay, so the foundation may be on the ground or it may be below the water. So the loads from the towers will be transferred to the foundation and hence to the ground. So these are the anchorages where the cable is anchored. Anchorages are used to support the ends of the main cable. So this is the main cable. So this part is called as suspension cable and this part is called anchor cable. So both anchor as well as suspension cable forms the main cable. So the main cable is firmly held in its position by means of anchorages. Okay. So it is used to prevent any movements in the main cable by transferring the force from the main cable to the ground. So the force from the main cable will be transferred to the ground through this anchorage. and it also prevents any movement of the cable. Next we have, these are the parts we have already discussed. Next we have span. So span is the horizontal distance between the two end supports holding the cable. So here we have two towers which holds the suspension cable. So this is the main span of the bridge. It is the horizontal distance between the two end supports. Next we have length of the cable. Length of the cable is the total length along the cable in between the two supports. It is the total length along the cable. You have to measure it along the cable like this, okay, with in between the two supports. Okay, you cannot take this as the length. Okay, we have to concentrate only on the suspension cable. Therefore this is the suspension cable and you have to measure it along this along the suspension cable to get the length of the cable. Next is dip or sag. Okay, so if you join the top of the supports with an imaginary line, dip, it is the vertical distance of any point on the cable from its imaginary horizontal datum line joining the support. If this is the horizontal datum line or joining the top of the supports, it is the vertical distance on the cable from this imaginary line. Okay, so either it may be, you can measure it here or you can measure it here or you can measure it. They are all called as dip or sag of the cable. Normally at the midspan the sag or dip will be maximum, which ranges in the which varies from 1/10 to 1/15 of the span. So if the span is 10 meter, then the dip will be 1 meter or 1.5 meter, like that. Okay, it varies from 1/10 to 1/15 of the span. So that is about the elements of suspension cable. Next we will move to what are the forces acting on the suspension bridge. So as we have already discussed, that vehicular traffic will be moving on the deck slab. So this traffic will be transferred from deck slab to the suspension cable through these suspenders or hanger bars. Okay, and the suspension cable carries this vehicular traffic which is transferred by the suspenders or hanger bars, and in turn the suspension cable transfers the load to the tower and as well as to the anchor cable. Okay, so the tower in turn transfers the load to the foundation and hence to the ground, and whereas the cable that is the anchor cable transfers its load to the anchorages and then to the ground. Okay, so you can see the sequence here. The first, the load will be acting on the stiffening girder or the deck slab, which transfers its loads to the hanger bars, and then the hanger bars in turn transfers its load to the suspension cable. Suspension cable transfers the load to towers as well as to the anchor cables. The towers in turn transfers the load to the foundation, and the anchor cable transfers the load to the anchorages. Okay, so this these hanger bars will be under tension, as well as this main cable, that means both the suspension cable as well as the anchor cable are under tension, and even this anchorages are under tension. This tower and the foundation will experience the compressive force. This is the nature of forces experienced by different elements of a suspension bridge. Next, supports of suspension cable. So we can see this is the suspension bridge. So this is the suspension cable connected to the tower and the anchor cable. Okay, so if you observe here, This is the part where the suspension cable is supported to the tower and in turn to the anchor cable. Okay. So how the suspension cable is connected to the tower and the anchor cable means by two means. The suspension cable is connected to the tower or supported by the tower and the anchor cable by means of two arrangements, that is, one is the pulley arrangement and the second one is the roller arrangements. Okay. In case of the pulley arrangement, that is when the cable passes over smooth frictionless pulley, or it is also called as guided pulley. Okay. So you can observe this is the real photograph of a pulley where the suspension cable is passing over the pulley, and if you idealize it, this is the tower and this is the suspension cable and this is the anchor cable. Okay. If Ts is the tension in the suspension cable, okay, and let us take Ta as the tension in the anchor cable. Okay. So in this case the suspension cable simply runs over this pulley and it is anchored to the other end. Okay. So there is a continuity of the cable here. Hence, whatever the tension experienced by the suspension cable, the same tension will be experienced by the anchor cable. Hence, Ts, that is tension in suspension cable, will be equal to tension in anchor cable. Next, we have cable connected to frictionless rollers or saddle mounted on the rollers. It is also called as saddle mounted on the rollers. If you want to take a look at the real scenario of how this saddle mounted on rollers being connected, this is the example. If you idealize it, this is the tower where the rollers are provided over which the saddle is mounted. Okay. Let us assume this as the suspension cable and this as the anchor cable. Okay. Select the suspension cable makes an angle theta with respect to horizontal, and this anchor cable makes an angle of alpha with respect to horizontal. Okay. So let Ts be the tension in the suspension cable and Ta be the tension in the anchor cable. So as you can observe here, it is been provided with rollers, so that means they are free to slide. Okay. So if it is free to slide, the saddle mounted can slide along the horizontal direction. For the equilibrium, it should not slide, it has to be at the same position. Okay. So if it has to be at the same position, then it has to be at the same position. That means if there should not be any horizontal movement, means horizontal forces should be 0. That means the summation of forces along x direction should be equal to 0. So if you apply that condition over here, so to apply that condition, let us resolve these forces. So Ts is at an angle theta with respect to horizontal, therefore horizontal component will be Ts cos theta and vertical component is Ts sin theta. And Ta is making an angle of alpha with respect to horizontal, therefore horizontal component is Ta cos alpha and vertical component is Ta sin alpha. So if it has to be in the equilibrium position, or if it has to be in the stable position, the summation of horizontal forces should be equal to 0. If you apply that, this is in the positive x direction, therefore Ts cos theta minus Ta cos alpha should be equal to 0. So therefore, if you simplify it, it will be Ts cos theta is equal to Ta cos alpha. That means this is the horizontal component of tension in the suspension cable and this is the horizontal component of tension in the anchor cable. So they must be same. Horizontal component of suspension cable should be equal to horizontal component of tension cable. So that is the condition to be satisfied if it has to be mounted on a roller. If the cable has to be supported by means of rollers, this condition has to be satisfied. That is, the horizontal component of suspension cable Ts cos theta should be equal to horizontal component of anchor cable, tension in anchor cable, that is Ta cos alpha. Whereas in case of frictionless pulley, tension in suspension cable will be equal to tension in anchor cable. In case of roller supports, horizontal component of tension in suspension cable should be equal to horizontal component of tension in anchor cable. So these are the two conditions you have to remember. Okay, that is how the suspension cable is supported to the tower and the anchor cable. In case of this saddle mounted, the cable is not continuous. Okay, whereas in case of pulley arrangements, the cable is continuous. Okay, that is the difference. Next we will move to the length of the cable. So as we all aware that the length is the length of the cable measured along the shape of the cable, okay, between the two supports. So let us take the length of the cable with point loads. So as the cable is flexible, it takes the shape of the applied load. Okay, it takes any shape. So since it is subjected to, so let us consider ABCD as the suspension cable, where at points C and D we have been applied with 2 point loads. So as the cable is highly flexible, it takes the shape of a polygon under the loads. Okay, so it takes the shape as shown in the figure. Okay, therefore the total length will be equal to length of this segment AC plus length of this segment CD and length of the segment BD. Okay, so AC, CD and BD. How to measure these lengths means, either you can apply the Pythagoras theorem. If you know this angle theta and the dip at these points C and D, you can apply the Pythagoras theorem. This distance and this YC, square root of this distance and square root of YC square will give the length of this AC member. Similarly, you can calculate here for length of CD member and BD member. Okay, or you can apply, if you know these angles theta 1, theta 2, theta 3, you can apply any trigonometrical functions to find the length of each segments. Okay, next is length of the cable subjected to UDL with supports at same level. Okay, let us consider a cable subjected to UDL. Okay, so as it is subjected to UDL, it takes the form of a parabola. Okay, the cable takes the form of a parabola. So let H be the dip at the center. Okay, let H be the dip at the center and L be the span of the cable, horizontal span of the cable. Okay, so let us assume or let us consider a small elementary section of the cable. So if ds is the length of the cable in that section, and let dx and dy be the horizontal and vertical distances of this ds member. So then by applying the Pythagoras theorem, ds can be calculated as root of dx square plus dy square. So if you simplify it, if you take dx outside from this and root, so ds by dx is equal to square root of 1 plus dy by dx whole square, 1 plus dy by dx whole square. Okay, but this y, this takes the shape of a parabola, therefore y is given by 4hx by L square into L minus x. Therefore dy by dx will be equal to 4h by L square into L minus 2x. L minus 2x. So let us substitute the value of dy by dx into this equation. Then ds by dx will be equal to square root of 1 plus this dy by dx, that is 4h by L square into L minus 2x whole square, dy by dx whole square. Okay. So the solution for this square root of 1 plus 4h by L square into L minus 2x whole square, solution for this term will be by using the binomial theorem. So by neglecting the higher order terms, we can write the solution as 1 plus half of 4h by L square into L minus 2x whole square. Okay, this is the solution. We will neglect the higher order terms. So now, so total length of the cable is the summation of these small elemental elements, that is ds, from 0 to L. Therefore, we can obtain the total length by integrating ds from the limits 0 to L. 0 to L. Substitute the value of ds, that is 1 plus half of 4h by L square into L minus 2x whole square. Limits are from 0 to L into dx. So if you simplify this, you will get the length equation as L plus 8h square by 3L, where capital L is the length of the cable, that is which is measured along the cable, okay, and small l is span of the cable. So this is the horizontal distance between the two supports, okay, and h is the dip of the cable. This is the dip of the cable. Again, this is the equation to be used to calculate the length of the cable when the cable is subjected to UDL and with supports at same level. Okay, that is L is equal to L plus 8h square by 3L. Next, we will take up length of cable subjected to UDL with supports at different level. Let us consider ABC as the cable having its supports at different level. Let H1 be the dip of the cable measured from end A, and let H2 be the dip of the cable from the right end, or that is end B. Let L1 be the distance of this lowest point on the cable from the left end, and L2 is the distance of the lowest point on the cable measured from the right end. Okay, so you can see here, so distance between the horizontal distance between the two supports, that is span, is equal to L1 plus L2. L is equal to L1 plus L2, and we have this term L1 by root H1 is equal to L2 by root H2, that is equal to L1 plus L2 divided by root of H1 plus H2. Okay, so H1, H2 or L1, L2 can be calculated by using this relation. Next, if the supports are at same level, the length of the cable is given by L is equal to L plus 8h square by 3L. Okay, so now to calculate the length of the which is at, supported at different levels, length of cable supported at different levels, let us consider the length of total length of the cable is AC plus BC. Okay, let us consider this AC segment. The length, let us assume it as S1, the length of the cable as S1. If you extend the cable AC to A dash, so that A and A dash are at the same level, then if this is L1, then this is also equal to L1. So there is a mistake here, this should have been L1. Okay, and let H1 be the dip of the cable for this left segment, that is AC portion. So by using this relation we can substitute here, where capital L is the length of the cable, small l is span of the cable, and h is dip of the cable. By considering ACA dash, we have to put total length is ACA dash, which is equal to 2L1, L1 plus L1, okay, 2S1. So this is S1, and again this will also be equal to S1, okay, therefore it will be 2S1. Let us substitute it as 2S1, that is equal to L. It is the distance between the two supports. So if the supports are at same level, then this is one L1 and again this one is also another L1. So it will be 2L1. Span is equal to 2L1 and H dip is equal to H1 for AC A dash. Let us substitute. L is 2S1 is equal to L is 2L1 plus 8H1 square divided by 3 into L is 2L1. So if you simplify this, you will get S1 as L1 plus 2H1 square by 3L1. L1 plus 2H1 square divided by 3L1. Similarly, if we consider the right segment, that is the BC part, okay. So this is the PC part. Let S2 be the length of the cable measured along the cable, okay, for BC member, and L2 is the distance of the maximum sag from the end B, okay. If you continue this, or if you extend this length of the cable so that B dash is at the same level as that of the end B, then BCB dash will be of the cable which supports at the same level, okay. If this is S2, then this is also S2, and if this is L2, then this distance is also equal to L2. So by using this relation, what we have to substitute here? Capital L is equal to 2S2, that is length of the cable for this case BCB dash, that will be equal to 2S2, and L span of the cable, that is equal to 2L2, L2 plus L2, 2L2, okay, and dip of the cable H is equal to H2, okay. If you substitute here, it will be 2S2 is equal to this should have been 2S2 is equal to 2L2 plus 8H2 square divided by 3 into 2L2. So if you simplify this, S2 is equal to L2 plus 2H2 square divided by 3L2. So now, if you consider ABC, AC and BC segments, the total length of the cable L is equal to S1, that is length of the cable AC S1 and length of the cable BC S2. So you have to add S1 plus S2. So substitute here. S1 is L1 plus 2H1 square by 3L1 plus H2 is L2 plus 2H2 square by 3L2. If you simplify it, the total length of the cable which supports a different level can be calculated as L plus 2 by 3 into H1 square by L1 plus H2 square by L2, where capital L is length of the cable measured along the cable, small l span of the cable between the two supports, and then H1 dip of the cable from the left end, L1 distance of the lowest dip, and that is maximum dip from the left end, H2 dip of the cable, maximum dip of the cable from the right end, and L2 distance of this maximum dip measured horizontally from the right end, okay. Use this formula to calculate the length of the cable when the supports are at different level. Next, we'll move to how to find the diameter of the suspension cable. So we know that stress, whenever a cable is experiencing some amount of force, definitely it undergoes stress. So it has to be limited. The stresses allowed in the material has to be limited, or there has to be some limitation. If the stresses are beyond the limitation, then permanent deformations will take place. Therefore, to avoid those things, we have to allow certain stress, and beyond that allowable stress, it has to be, the stresses should not exceed the allowable stress. Okay, so allowable stress sigma is given by sigma max divided by FOS. What is the sigma max? Is maximum permissible stress in the material or cable. Okay, because we are discussing about the cable, so sigma max is nothing but maximum permissible stress in the cable. So if you know the maximum permissible stress, allowable stress has to be less than the maximum permissible stress. It should not be more than maximum permissible stress. If it is more than the maximum limited is say around 100. If the allowable stress you cannot take beyond 100, okay, it has to be less than 100, so that the material will not experience permanent deformation. Okay, so how to calculate this allowable stress means maximum permissible stress divided by FOS. What is this FOS? Means factor of safety. How much safety we have to provide? What is the factor by which we are allowing the stress? Okay, so this factor of safety can be taken as 1.2 to 2. It will be, sometimes it will be given in the problem, or you can assume it in this range. Okay, so now when you know this allowable stress, so area of the cable can be calculated as Tmax divided by sigma. What is this Tmax? It is the maximum tension carried by the cable, especially suspension cable. The maximum tension carried by the suspension cable divided by the allowable stress will give the area of the cable. And in turn, area of the cable is equal to pi by 4 d square. So if you equate these two, you will get the diameter of the suspension cable required. So next we will move to the sign convention. What is the sign convention that we follow in the analysis of cables? So conventional sign convention will be followed. That is, forces acting along positive x direction are taken as positive. Forces acting along the vertical upward direction are taken as positive, and the moments in the clockwise direction are taken as positive. Along with that, sagging bending moment. Okay, so the moments which induce sagging in the cable, they are taken as positive, and the moments which induce hogging in the cable are taken as negative. This should have been negative. Please make this correction. Sagging is positive and hogging is negative. So next we will move to the conditions of equilibrium. What are the conditions we have to apply in the analysis? Means first is sigma fx is equal to 0. That is, summation of forces along the x direction should be equal to 0. Next, sigma fy, algebraic summation of forces along y direction should be equal to 0. Next, sigma m equals 0. That is, algebraic summation of moments of all the forces at certain points, at some point, should be equal to 0. Mainly at the, we will take mainly at the supports. And then bending moment should be equal to 0. As we know that the cable is highly flexible, okay, it cannot resist the bending moment. Therefore, bending moment at any point along the length of the cable, it will be 0. You can take bending moment at any point on the cable and equate it to 0. Okay, these are the conditions of equilibrium you have to apply in the analysis of cables. Next, to analyze cable, what you have to do is, first you have to find the reactions, and then you have to find the tension in the cable. Okay, maximum tension as well as minimum tension, and then length of the cable, and diameter of the cable required and forces transmitted to the towers. Okay. So in one problem all these may not be asked, maybe 2 to 3 parameters will be asked in a single problem. All the 5 will not be asked in a single problem. Okay. And all these you have to apply for cables which supports at same level and cables which supports at different level. Okay. Both subjected to point loads as well as UDL. Okay. So that is the introductory part for cable structures. So in the next sessions we will take up the numerical examples of cables which supports at same level. Thank you.